Hey folks, Mrmathblog here, and this is comparing and ordering fractions. In the book I'm following, it would be section 6.8. All right, so the common core strand is we're going to understand fraction equivalence and the ordering, so putting them in order from least to greatest. So our essential question is how can you order fractions? So I'm going to show you a couple of ways. Start off with fractions on a number line, you guys, okay? So if I just talked about the number line from 0 to 1 right here, right in the middle would be a half. So if I cut this length of 1 right there into a half, there's a 0 to 1 cut in half. Here's 0 to 1 cut in a third right there. So approximately right about there would be 1/3. And approximately right about there would be 2/3. Here's a fraction cut into a fourth. Here's 1/4, 2/4. 2/4 equals a half. 3/4 and then 4/4. 4/4 is 1. Here it is cut into a fifth. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and 5/5. Here it is cut into a sixth. 1/6, 2/6. Remember, 2/6 is the same as 1/3 right there. 3/6, 3/6 is the same as a half. 4/6, 5/6, 6/6. Okay, I'm skipping sevenths and I'm skipping eighth size pieces, but here's ninth size pieces. Notice it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Here's 1/9, 2/9, 3/9. 3/9 is a third, okay? 4/9, 5/9, 6/9, 7/9, 8/9, 9/9. Okay, and then here it is cut into twelfths right there. They get smaller as you get into the cutting them into smaller pieces. Okay, so the more pieces you cut them into, the smaller they get. All right, we're going to use that strategy to order numbers from least to greatest. Okay, here we go. Alex has equal size cans for pet food. He fills 3/5 of a can with cat food, 1/12 of a can with bird food, and 9/10 of a can with dog food. Which can is the most full? Okay. All right, so let's compare. We're comparing the fractions 3/5, 1/12, and 9/10. I'm going to compare them on a number line. Okay, so I've listed the number line from 0 to 1 right here. And since I'm talking about 3/5 right here, then I cut it up into fifth size pieces. So here's 1/5, 2/5, 3/5. So 3/5 would be right about here. I'll put a dot there in just a second. 1/12, you guys, if I cut it up into 12, 1/12 is way over here, right about there. There's about a twelfth of that, right about there, okay? And then 9/10, 9/10 would be, here's 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, all the way up to 9/10. So 9/10 would be right about there. So definitely, you guys, right there, 1/12 is to the left, and the one that's to the left on a number line is your smallest number. The leftist most number is your smallest. Then as you go to the right, it gets greater. So 1/12 is less than 3/5 is less than 9/10 right there. Okay, so let's answer the question. Which can is most full? The one with 9/10. So the one with 9/10 would have been the dog food. So the dog food had the most food in it. Okay. All right. You guys have birds and dogs and cats? I do. I have lots of birds. We have a big aviary. And we have a cat and 2 dogs. You heard them barking a couple of lessons ago. All right, so let's use the number line to estimate where each fraction would be, okay? All right, so here's my number line from 0 to 1 right here. Okay, 2/5. Remember, fifths would be if I cut it up from here to here in 5 equal pieces. So right about here would be 1/5. Here would be about 2/5. So I'm going to guess about 2/5 right about there, okay? 3/5 and then 4/5. So if you cut them up into 5 equal pieces, I'm guessing 2/5 right about there. Okay, 7/10, you guys. 7/10 and 3/4 are really close numbers to each other, you guys. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, we'll compare them in just a little bit in a couple slides away. 3/4 is just a slightly bit bigger than 7/10, you guys. And if I cut this up, here's a half. Here's a fourth right here, so this would be 2/4. So 3/4 would be right about here, and 7/10 would be a little bit smaller. I'm going to guess 7/10 to be right around right there, okay? And again, we'll compare 3/4 and 7/10 in just a little bit. And 3/4 is a little bit bigger. Okay, 2/4, you guys, 2/4 equals a half if I reduce that because the numerator is half the denominator, and when that happens, it's equal to a half. All right, and then if this is 1/4 right there, then take if I cut it in half again, 1/2 would be, or 1/8 would be right about here. So 1/4 cut in half would be 1/8. So I'm guessing 1/8 right about there. All right, so then write those numbers in order from least to greatest. They're the same fractions right up there, and once you have them listed on a number line, then they're in order right there. You pick, this is the smallest, this is the next smallest, this is the next, this is the next, and 3/4 would be the biggest. Okay, so there they are in order right there. All right, let's compare these guys. All right, so we can compare them with the benchmark of a half. Well, both of these are greater than a half, so I can't use that. So what I got to do is either get common numerators or common denominators. You'll find getting common denominators is probably the method that we use the most when we're comparing fractions. So I'm going to go ahead and get common denominators, you guys. And so I'm going to list all the multiples of 4. 4 times 1, 4 times 2, and you can just keep adding 4 if you don't like multiplying. 4 times 3 plus 4 is 4 times 4 plus 4 is 4 times 5. Here's 10 times 1, here's 10 times 2, and I highlighted these because those guys are my common denominators. So what I'm going to do is change this to 20, okay, and change this to 20, all right? So 4 goes into 20 5 times, and 10 goes into 20 2 times. So I multiplied 3/4 times 1, but my 1 is 5/5. So 3 times 5 is 15, 4 times 5 is 20. Over here, it's times 2/2. 7 times 2 is 14, 10 times 2 is 20. Now they have common denominators of 20, and then you can look at the numerators, you guys. And since 15/20 is greater than 14/20, then that tells me 15/20 came from 3/4, so 3/4 was greater than 7/10. Look how close they are. They're 1/20th of away from each other. That's how close they are. But 3/4 is definitely greater than 7/10 right there. All right, so let's try it again, you guys. Let's write these fractions in order from least to greatest right here. Okay, I'm going to use a number line. Well, we know where 7/12 is. It's right past 6/12, and 6/12 is a half. So 7/12 is just a little bit past that. How much past? I don't know. It's a little bit past that. Okay, 1/4 is less than a half. In fact, it's half of a half. So there's 1/4 right there. All right, and then 7/10. Well, we knew where 7/10 was. 7/10 was not quite at 3/4, which was right there. So 7/10 was a little bit to the left of that. Okay, and then 8/10 is a little bit bigger than 7/10. So how much bigger? Just a little bit bigger. So right about there. Now there they are in order right there. As long as you can estimate where they are on a number line, then that's where they are in order. This is the smallest, this is the next smallest, this is the next one, and this one's the biggest one right there. There they are in that order right there. Okay? All right. Let's try another one. Let's list these fractions in order from least to greatest and try not using a number line. Okay? All right. So 3/4 is definitely bigger than a half because 2/4 equals a half. So 3/4 is bigger than 2/4. This is 1/2 because 4 is half of 8 right there. So I know that definitely that 3/4 is greater than 4/8 because this is greater than a half and this equals a half. All right. 1/3 is less than a half, and so is 2/10. 2/10 is less than a half also. In fact, 2/10 reduces to 1/5. So now all I got to see, since I know that 2/10 and 1/3 are less than a half, I know that this number is bigger than this number, and I know that these two numbers are bigger than both of these. All right, so what's bigger, a third or a fifth? Well, remember rectangles, you guys. If I cut a rectangle up into a third, there's a third right there, and cut a rectangle up into a fifth. Definitely 1/5 is less than 1/3 right there, so that's going to tell me that 1/5 is the smallest number, which is 2/10. 1/3 is the next smallest number. 1/2 is the next one, which is 4/8, and then finally 3/4 right there. Okay, so there they are in the correct order right there. Okay, from least to greatest. All right, what else do I have? I guess that's it. Okay, you guys, take care.